like Michael, don't want to spend too much time behind the lectern just in case you can't see me. And unlike Michael, I'm not 40 years old. I've got a few years to come for that. I'm actually a lot young. I dyed my hair a lovely silver colour. I dyed it to just to give myself that sense of age and gravitas. So this is all false. A little bit on my background is that for a short while I was a CIMA lecturer. I stood in front of student classes about this size, and I trained people to pass their exams in various different subjects and various different syllabuses. This was only for a very short, because I'm really young, so it was only for a very short time, honestly. And I turned down a chance to be in One Direction, and I came to CIMA instead. No, I was responsible for running CIMA courses in the UK and Europe, and I spent a lot of time listening to people explaining what was happening in syllabuses and speaking to examiners and really trying to argue the best deal that we could get from CIMA for the students that I was representing. And then about 18 months to 2 years ago, this opportunity came up to work for CIMA, really doing what I've been doing for the previous small amount of time, and just being able to help students in a wider field than just the ones that would happen to come into the classrooms that I was running. And it's been a fantastic 18 months since I started, around 18 months since I started, because I came in partway through this project of creating the syllabus. I'm not personally responsible for the content of the syllabus. I wasn't involved in the research, speaking to employers about what they would like us to be testing students on. But definitely had a big say in the development of things through the last 18 months, and in making sure that there is support, as much support as we can possibly get to you while you're studying for your exams. And you know, having Christine on board particularly is going to be a huge help, because she is in this region. She'll be here fairly regularly, more regularly than I can make it, to understand what you need to have to help you get through the exams, and to help the colleges that you attend to make sure that everything is up to date in preparing the exams. So the role that I've got this evening really is just to get you started in understanding on what is going to be happening in 2015. Because, as Michael said, we have made changes. In terms of the syllabus itself, there's not a huge change. If we took everything that you have to learn between now and becoming a CGMA, there's not an enormous amount of change that's being made, because the content that we have in our current syllabus is the right content. It's the things that employers want you to know and be able to do, right? But what we've done is we've made a change to where those topics are examined, as in what level they're examined in, and we've made a very, very big change to the way in which we'll assess the exam. And this is, you know, this is the big challenge. It's the big exciting part of what we've been involved in. So you can see on the syllabus there, we've got 3 levels. Now this is beyond the certificate level. Yeah, we've left the certificate level alone for a while. As Michael said, we will be looking at it in over the next year and a half and bringing something fresh. But by then, all of you who are at certificate will have finished that, won't you? You'll have taken all the exams, passed them, and you'll be moving on to look at this. And I tell you, the thing that we've done is that we've done a huge amount of mapping, if I can get this to work properly. We've taken each level And we've been very, very careful about what goes into this level. So I've just drawn a box around our operational level, which I'll talk about more in a little while. But in speaking to companies, speaking to chief finance officers and HR directors, we've taken a view of what those organisations, large organisations, small organisations, regional, global, national organisations, profit-seeking organisations, privately funded, publicly funded, non-for-profit, not-for-profit organisations. We've taken a huge range of research, and we've found that there's a common pattern of what they want people to do. And we've incorporated that into the syllabus, so that now, unlike any other accounting syllabus that there has ever been, and I include our own syllabus, we've got a very, very clear integrated level of exams. Each one of these levels defines a level of seniority at which you would be working in one of these organisations. Right? So what we have, and I'll go through the exams in a little bit more detail, but we've got 3 different columns, pillars, within each level. Where in the enterprise pillar on the left, the dark purple one, we get an understanding of how a business operates, its strategy, the organisation, and so on. And we're tested about that. In the middle, the P pillar, performance pillar, we understand how to identify good performance and how to improve performance, decision making and planning. And in the right hand side, we've got the financial pillar, which is where we talk to the outside world about what we've done, what we want to do. We ask for money from banks and from stock markets, and we manage that money and we report through the financial statements how we've used that money. So from left to right there's a short story as to how a business comes together and what a management accountant does within the business. From bottom to top there's a career progression. Yeah? And they say no other syllabus has got what we've got in terms of this integration and a story that says at that level this is what happens. Yeah, in other syllabuses you might be at a level, I remember an old CIMA syllabus where in one of the levels there was a paper on financial reporting, it's fine, on management accounting applications, which is fair enough. Then there was business tax, which I suppose links to financial reporting, not to management accounting. And then there was company law, nothing to do with any of the above. But it was just 4 papers that were different disciplines that were grouped together because of their academic difficulty, as decided by university teachers, lecturers, professors, and people who work in the field of education, not who work in the field of employment. So this is a fresh look at management accounting and an accounting qualification that is entirely driven by the employment, and is addressing that report which Michael mentioned from McKinsey's, saying there is an employability gap. People come out of all sorts of academic programs and some professional programs, and they go for a job interview and they say, I'm qualified in such and such, and the employer says, you've not got the right skills that I'm looking for the role that I advertised. Okay, so that's the gap that we aim to fill with the qualification. Now, let me talk about that a little bit more by looking at how a level fits together. Now, I'm not sure that all of these diagrams are in the magazine that's been handed out, but on the left-hand side there, you see 4 phrases. These are the skills that Michael mentioned, the ones that employers have said they would like to see management accountants develop. The core accounting skills, business skills, understanding how management accounting helps a business move forward. People skills, so being able to communicate the results of any exercises that you do to the right people with the right information. So just as an example, if you have a requirement to write a report to a finance director about, I don't know, cash flow forecasting or discounted cash flow or some technique in there, you don't start off by explaining what that technique is. Because if he's a finance director, a CFO, you'd assume he's done some accounting and he doesn't need the basics explained. You don't start off by saying, for every debit, there is a credit, because he knows that. Yes? So we talk at the right level. We talk about the issues, we talk about the results of exercises we've done and the implications of those exercises. And we'll be developing the leadership skills that mean that the management accountant is a driver of the business. We'll be talking to, or we'll end up at the end of the qualification, speaking to the senior management team, the board of directors, and helping them make big strategic decisions that move our organisation forward. But we get there gradually. So the operational level, which I circled on the previous syllabus slide, is a job title. It is what we've called the finance officer. And this would be somebody who's been working in their organisation for a year or two. Right? They're just learning how the operation, how the organisation works. You know, they're not making big decisions. But what they're doing, and you notice on the pie chart, the wheel, that the bulk of it, nearly 2/3, is about learning about the functions of being an accountant. Yeah, actually understanding what the impact of a transaction is. Understanding the figures that go into decision making, creating reports, and kind of being told what to do by somebody above and making sure that you do it correctly. So that's the bulk of it, and that's, you know, that's fair. You wouldn't expect somebody within their first 2 years to be contributing to leadership of the organisation. We do have smaller slices for business skills, business acumen, which is important. Again, no matter where you are in an organisation, if all you can do is list out numbers, add them up, or do whatever the task is, and present a report and say, there you are, I have added the numbers together, you're not helping anyone. What does help someone is saying, there you are, I've added the numbers together, and I spotted that this one was unusual. And if we look closely at that, then that figure might indicate that we're going to make a loss, or there's opportunities for us to make more profit, or there's a way in which we can increase our efficiency. Yeah? So that's where the business acumen comes in, just starting to tell a little story around the numbers and the facts that we have learnt, applying it to our business. Okay? And likewise, the people skills, we do have to start from an early starting point with learning about this, that we don't sit in an office and churn out reports. There has to be a conversation back and forth between what we're doing and the people who need to use it. So we'll be starting to assess that at the beginner level, at the operational level. Okay? Now, I've not got all 3 levels in this slide. I have got the next one in a moment. But there's another thing that we're doing with this syllabus, and in our syllabus document, which you can download online, where there's much more information than you've got in the booklet that's handed out, we've got these personas. We've actually created a little picture, not a very good picture, is it, of a finance officer. Even I could draw that. But we're saying, so that's my bones, they do that noise. We're saying this is you in your organisation. You're a finance officer. I'll say this for the people who are at the back and can't read all this way down. In fact, I won't. It serves you right for sitting at the back. I'll just talk to the people in the front row who can see it now. Who you'll be communicating with as you complete this level is your manager, and it says product owners there, by which we mean people who need information about what they're doing in the organisation, what they're doing tomorrow, what they're doing next week. All right? The types of things they'll be asking are not going to be remarkably detailed. So when we come to the types of question where you have to contribute an answer, right, you have to create a report or communicate, it will be a short response. You'll be analysing information that's given to you. That might be financial information, most likely, but there will be non-financial factors as well. All right? And we're going to be combining, within this donut, we're combining, so I said donut, I didn't mention the phrase donut before, but you do have to agree that that looks like a donut. It's not a pie chart because there's a big hole in the middle. And if I have a pie with a big hole in the middle, that's not a pie, it's a donut. So anyway, my pie chart is a donut, and it summarises the technical skills, the people skills, the business skills and leadership skills, but those skills are going to be wrapped around the 3 subjects in the level. And that's the enterprise subject, where we need to analyse the structure of the organisation, ask whether it's the most efficient way to be doing our business. We need to understand costing issues. How much do our products and our services cost us? Can we plan using those costs? What about decision making, and understand how those costs fit together? And we'll be doing some analysis of any decisions that we make, how they impact upon the financial statements. So will our decision lead to something that is acceptable to our shareholders, if that's how we're structured, to our lenders, if we've borrowed a lot? Yeah? So what are we reporting? So each level has one of these very, very brief job description type things that's there, and we call it the persona. And when we get on to talking about the exams, this persona is one that you will have to adopt. You'll have to imagine that is you, because we'll have a role play type of exercise that involves acting in this person's position. Now, the exams, as I've already shown, there's 3 subjects and there's the donut, there's the competency element. And how we're going to establish that somebody is competent in that role, that persona, is first of all to ask you to pass each one of the 3 subjects. Now this is going to be a task that's very, very similar to your certificate level. That's where you're at. We don't insist upon you doing C1, then C2, then C3, and so on. We let you choose. So if you don't have an exemption from business maths, but you think you were quite good at maths at school, why not start by doing maths? If you've done a bit of economics but not enough to get an exemption, off you go and do C4. We don't insist upon anything there. You can do it in any order. And there's no strong argument in any one of the 3 levels as to which running order you take for the subjects. So a lot will be determined on your preference, on the timing that you've got to do your exams, what courses are available for you to attend, and so on. Okay, and I say there really isn't an order that will be a disadvantage or an advantage. And the assessment is going to be exactly the same as you've got, well, not exactly, I'll show you kind of what it's going to be like, but it's going to be very, very similar to what you've got for certificate level. It will be objective test only. It will be on computers, and we're using Pearson VUE as our global assessment partners. Now, Pearson VUE is a massive organisation, the biggest and most successful online assessment organisation. They understand online exams better than anyone, they've delivered more than anyone, and they've been a huge help to us in delivering this assessment methodology. Right? We provide them with the management accounting technical expertise, and they provide us with the way in which that's going to be assessed. Right? So we're working in partnership with them. Now, the three subjects, and it doesn't matter which one of the levels I'm talking about, the three subjects are essential toolboxes that that persona has to be able to understand to be able to do their job. All right? You know, there's a number of different things that you could be looking at, but you know, if I wanted to run a car workshop, let's say, you know, so servicing and repairing cars, I'll simplify this. It's probably not quite the case, but I want to employ mechanics. And I want a mechanic who, when a customer comes in with a car that's not working, can say, leave it with me, I'll fix it. All right? And I think, let's just simplify this. I think there's three things. There's understanding how the engine works. There's understanding how the gearbox works. And there's understanding the car's electrics. Right? So, if I want to send one of my sons to become a motor mechanic, I can say, first of all, here you go. Go on the course about engines. Okay, you can fix an engine, but I don't trust you to deal with a customer who comes, every customer who comes in, because the customer might come in with gearbox problems. So go on the course about gearboxes. And then go on the course about electrics, car electrics. Right? Now, so now I know that if I tell him that there's an electrics problem there, he'll be able to fix it. If I tell him there's a gearbox problem there, he'll be able to fix it. All right? Is it safe to leave him alone for a customer to come in and say, my car isn't working, can you fix it? I don't think so. Because as yet, he hasn't done the full diagnosis and look at all the possible problems. So far, I've been telling him the problems. So my next, I'm going to lose weight doing this talk, all this walking around. My next task is to say, right, I'll take you hand in hand through a few tasks. In comes a car, there's something wrong with it. There's a number of things wrong with it. Can you spot what those are? And can you repair them in a sensible order? All right, so I am integrating. I'm saying, I'm not telling you which toolboxes to look in. I'm just saying, fix the car. And whether you use the engine's toolbox, or the gearbox's toolbox, or the electrics toolbox, I don't care. As long as that customer goes away happy that the car is now working. So we're doing that in management accounting terms. We've got toolbox 1, 2, 3, E, P and F. We'll assess them separately and say, well done, you can do them. And then we'll say, can we put you in a business context where an employer, and this is our employability gap, or addressing the employability gap, our employer is asking you for a number of tasks. Tasks where you couldn't answer them if you didn't do this, but tasks where you'll be showing the technical skills. You know which tools to use. Yeah? You'll be using your business skills, because you'll be saying, I'm taking this out of context. Yeah? I'm taking this out of a study text and applying it in the company. So I'm saying, if you're a profit-seeking company, this is the interpretation of these numbers. If you're a service business, this is the interpretation of these numbers. You're being very specific with your business skills. Yeah? And then communicate it to the right people who need to have this information to do something bigger with the business. People skills. And as we get higher through the qualification, then we'll develop the leadership skills in the same way. So when we've got these case studies, we're not fussed directly about you getting things right or wrong like we are in the technical questions in the objective test. Because we know that you've come through the objective test, you've demonstrated competence with each of the toolboxes. We're not retesting that, we're putting things together integrated in a different scenario. Right, so we've got that case study. Now the case study is also going to be a computer-based exam, whereas the objective tests are, as I say, like the certificate. You can turn up and you can take them whenever you are ready. Give or take booking time for the exam centres. But pretty much you can say, I'm ready, can I do the exam? Within the next week you'll have done the exam, and very shortly after you'll have your results that say, time to move on to the next exam. Right? With the case study, it's a little bit more like what we've got in the professional qualification just now, that they have to be taken at set times. We're going to have 4 opportunities per year to take your case study. So that's 4 opportunities of operational, 4 opportunities of management, 4 opportunities of strategic case study, split 13 weeks apart from each other. Okay? So that will then, once you've done 3 subjects and a case study, then we'll say, well, you've demonstrated everything that our employers have told us they want a management accountant at that finance officer level to be able to do. And now you can move on to the next level. And this is the management level. So once you're competent at operational level, move up. You get a promotion. Yeah, you can become a manager. So you've got finance officers working for you, and instead of reporting to a manager, you're now reporting to a senior manager or a finance director. Right? And as you see, look what happened to the donut. Now we can talk about donuts. I've explained the phrase what a donut is. Now we've got the donut. Like, we're less reliant on the technical skills because you've developed an awful lot in operation. There's still more that you need to develop, just different ones. Yeah? But you're doing much more of the business analysis now. That went from 16 to 24. People skills have to be stronger. That's gone from 14 to 21. Because you've got more people to communicate with. You've got people above you, below you, to the side of you in the organisation, to the side of you outside the organisation. And leadership, because you now have a team you're leading. Yeah? And you're contributing more to the leadership of the organisation because you're closer to the top. Okay? And I've not put up the donut for the strategic level, but quite simply, it becomes 4 lots of 25%. At the strategic level, when you're knocking on the door of the command suite, if you like, yeah, so you're hoping you'll be a CFO very, very soon, you're displaying a well-balanced view of the 4 competencies. Right, so that's our approach through the syllabus. I've mentioned the assessment, just to see how we do that. But as I say, you can see, hopefully, there, how the syllabus has been linked into careers. And I say, I think it's a huge, huge step forward that's been made that no other accounting body, CIMA or anyone else, has voiced and been able to articulate until we've done this now. Okay? So yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't affect you too much. It probably doesn't make you think about the detail within the syllabus. But what it meant was that we had to pick apart the current syllabus. And there were some things that were at management level that were to do with short-term decision making. It's the wrong place. The manager's thinking medium-term. So short-term stuff should be at operational. Likewise, there was stuff that was in the operational level to do with medium-term decision making. So let's swap them around. Yeah? And there were a few things that we thought, well, actually, That's, if we understand what the financial pillar is about, it's about all forms of finance. And we had short-term finance in the P pillar just now. It should really be in the F pillar because it's finance. All right, so that's moved. And there's a few things that have chopped and changed around within the syllabus. So actually about 85% of the learning outcomes that define the syllabus are staying exactly the same, but they're just moving up or down or side to side within the qualification. All right, so that's why I say I'm not making a big fuss about the syllabus. Put it together. By the end, you've got the same skills, but the method of assessment is really, really clear. All right. Now, what I'll do. So that's the management level persona. That's the promotion that you get. You're dealing with more detailed analysis. You'll be doing longer responses in questions that you do. A couple of things that are mentioned in here. You're going to be deciding on what products to make, whereas at operational level you're providing management information that helps this person make the decision. You'll be looking at external as well as internal stakeholders. Right? So that again, that persona helps define the person that you're becoming. Okay, now the next thing that's going to happen, this has caused a little bit of fun as we launched the syllabus, was the introduction of objective testing. There were a couple of concerns that we had. Our first launch of the syllabus in the UK was back in the first half of the year, and we had a whole load of established tutors, people who've been teaching CIMA for 20, 30 years, quite a lot of them my former colleagues, and they were quite rude to me, really. Basically because I've spent the last 20 odd years being rude to them, so they took the opportunity of me standing on a stage to sit there, and I would be looking for encouraging nods and glances, just like you did there. You just give me a little smile and say, yeah. Were they sitting like that? Were they nodding? No, they weren't. They were going. Well, I was talking. So anyway, I had that on the one thing. That's not the main thing I want to say. But one of the other things, the question: objective testing. How can objective testing replace what we do just now in the strategic level? In the strategic level, we have a 50-mark question. People have to write a report that takes an hour and a half for them to answer. And you're going to give them, and cry, and all this stuff. But there's a couple of things that we've done. And look, we've not made the volume of learning any higher or any lower. We've not built in anything that says these exams are harder, nor are they easier. And this was the big question. We were accused of dumbing down in our syllabus. All right? And you know, everyone that raised those concerns through the last few months, they're very happy now that they've seen the way that we're going to be testing. So I'll let you in on a few of the facts and the figures around this. So, just now at certificate level you've got a 50% pass mark, yeah? Get half the questions right, you pass. That's alright, we'll look at that going forward, but currently under the paper-based exams, we've got a 50% pass mark. And we've changed the pass mark for the objective testing exams. Yeah? Now, we've created a 70% pass mark. You need to get 70% to pass an objective test exam. But, as I said, this is not a harder exam because of that. And this is the bit where I've been convincing people, and they seem to take it quite well, that 70% and 50% are the same thing. Have you done business maths yet? You've done your C3. You understand that there are statistics, and about, what, 85% of statistics are made up on the spot by the person standing on the stage talking about statistics. Yeah? No research into that, I just made that up. No, this is going to work. We're saying to employers that we're sending you, and I go back to Michael's matchmaking. I can't remember all the criteria in his ideal woman, but he wanted somebody with hair, who is softly spoken, educated, and what was the other one? With money, okay. All right. So, What if the matchmaker sends somebody along who is educated and has got money? But looks like Venkat. In fact, is Venkat. Right? 50% right. Why would Michael be upset with 50%? Right? That's what we were saying just now when we're sending people into employers, saying they can do 50% of what we ask them to do. Well, who do you think would employ you if that's what your mission statement was when you went for an interview? Yeah? Tell me why you want this job. Well, I looked down the job description and got halfway down and thought, I can do that. I didn't bother looking at the rest. Right? You're not going to get the job. Okay? So 70% is better, because of course we've got to allow for examiners and mistakes being made and things like that. So we think 70% is a good target, and we can say to employers, look, if somebody gets 70%, you know, they're the person that you want. If they get more than 70, brilliant. All right, now, take a paper-based exam. The way the examiners write their papers just now is that they can't assess the entire syllabus. They've got to pick which topic goes into this month's exam and which they'll leave out. So they only ever manage to test about 60% of the syllabus in any one sitting. Sometimes they create complex questions that touch 2 or 3 topics. So that's better, but typically they wouldn't test more than 70% of the learning outcomes, the syllabus content, in any one exam. All right? So here's your business maths statistics stuff, and there's a bit of management accounting in here. These two are independent of each other. The examiner doesn't tell the student what he's examining, and the student doesn't tell the examiner or ask the examiner, well, the student does ask the examiner to do a favour by examining these topics, but the examiner doesn't listen. Okay, so they're independent of each other. Two 70% go together to make 49%. 70% competence, 70% learning outcome, so your long run expected average score is going to be 49%. So let's call that 50, because exams have always talked about 50%. And that's the logic in there. If you get 50% in a paper-based exam, written under these conditions, that's actually reflecting probably 70% competence. It's the sort of thing that an employer wants. All right? Now, if the examiner could test 100% of outcomes, the same student, 70% competent, would score. People at the back have to answer this. What would you score in the same scenario but with a bigger exam covering 100% of the topics? People at the back? 70%. Yeah? So what we've done, we changed the rules. We changed the game that is being played with objective testing. Lots of short questions will allow us to cover more of the syllabus every time the test is set. It will be 100% of learning outcomes, and therefore 70% remains, the thing at the top, that remains. It's unaffected by our change. So it's quite simple, you know? It would be like if you were playing tennis and they changed the rules to make the court bigger and the net lower, then you get more serves in. You get more aces. Yeah? Andy Murray might even get some first serves in, which he doesn't tend to do. Change the rules of football. Make the goals twice as wide and twice as high. Right? You're going to get 4 times as many goals. Yeah? So that's kind of what we've done. We've changed the rules, we've changed the way the game's played, and we've removed this element of luck that there is. And let me just show you, there's a couple, I like these slides. I was going to take them out, but I like them because they're a good bit of fun. Right, take the same scenario that I had on the previous slide. Paper-based exams, 70% of learning outcomes covered. A student might be proficient in 70% of the syllabus. What happens if everything that the student has practiced and practiced and practiced, if it just happens that the examiner set a question in exactly the same areas of the syllabus, and the student is confident and makes no mistakes, the student's going to score 100%. Yay! It's brilliant. Yeah, you'd be telling everyone, I got 100%. And if I were your tutor, I would be telling everyone, I got 100%. Because that student who I taught just got 100%. It's all because of me. That's what tutors are like behind your back. But look at the other way around. What happens if the examiner picks the 30% that the student didn't cover? So there's only 40% of the stuff, or 40 points, that are recognisable in the exam out of the 70 that have been tested. The student gets 57%. Now, I say it is down to luck. And these two scores, 57 and 100%, they come from, where was it? Exactly the same volume of effort and learning and competence and ability. So I don't think it is at all fair that an examining system allows that discrepancy to be made. Yeah? I don't think it's fair. And here's another example. Here's lazy bones. Right? This is lazy bones. Stays in bed, misses the start of class. Gets to lunchtime, doesn't want to go back after lunch. Only attended 45% of the course. Right? Worked on it, but that's all. Look what happens if there's a perfect match between the little bit of work that he did and what the examiner put in. 64%. He's got a higher score than our person who had done 70% beforehand. He's got a higher score. He's done just over half the amount of work and got a higher score. Right? Now, there's a stroke of luck. Yes? And I'd say, if that's how lucky you are, there are lots of other things you should be doing other than trying to get a job in management accounting. First thing is to go out and buy a lottery ticket. Second thing is, well, I wouldn't do anything after I'd won the lottery. I'm honest. Right? And then, again, there's the same possible variation in scores. Yeah? But, in both of these scenarios, the point has come out at the bottom saying, if we had tested across the entire syllabus, the score that the person gets would reflect the degree of effort they put in and their ability, their competence, their proficiency. Right? So that, for me, justifies why we've done objective testing. It's fair. Yeah? That's the topmost thing for me. It's not the only thing that comes out. But it's absolutely fair. And it's by partnering with Pearson VUE, we've also got tests that say this hasn't become any easier. Right? Getting through the exams isn't any easier. The type of question isn't softer than what we've got in our current setup. So just to summarise, we will have a comprehensive exam. You are not going to find CIMA any easier to get through because we comprehensively test the syllabus. Alright? We test it with rigour that makes sure that we do dip into all parts of the learning outcomes, and we test at a level that is appropriate to the level of the qualification. I'll show you, I'll go into a practice exam in a moment, and it's something you would be able to do yourselves. You know, if you've done some of the certificate questions, you know that it's not all multiple choice. We've got a range of questions that are going to be in our professional qualification. There's a wider range than we've got in certificate just now. So there may be sentence completion. Here's a box with 10 words in it. Here's a sentence about a business or about a technique or something that has got 4 gaps in it. Drop the correct words into the gaps, and you've got to get all 4 words in the right place to get the question right. You won't get enough if you only get 3 in and the 4th one is wrong. They've got to be all 4 right. So that's very rigorous. Number entry is quite common in the certificate level, isn't it? You ask a question, what is 4 times 8? And there's a box there for you to type in the answer. And it will only take a number entry. Alright, hotspot is one where you click somewhere within a diagram where the correct answer or answers lie. Multiple answer, these ones get tougher as you get up the syllabus. But this is one where it would say, here are 6 statements. I've got 6 lines on the question. Some of those statements are correct. And I want you to click on each one that is correct. I've not told you whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. It could be 6, could be none, could be 1. Right? So you have to know your stuff really, really well to be able to judge which ones are correct for you to click. And again, if you click, say there's 3 that are correct. If you click 2 that are correct and no more, you don't get a mark. If you click 2 that are correct, 3 that are correct, sorry, all 3 that are correct, and you click a 4th, you get no marks. So it's not just saying, well, I've got some of them right, because in business we don't want that. We don't want an accountant who presents a report to the finance director to make a big important decision about selling a business or making people redundant or hiring people or investing, and saying most of the questions in that report are right. Most of them are. Some of them might be wrong. Again, we go back to Michael's confident and competent accountant. Alright, so that's a really, really rigorous, tough way to test questions. There will be multiple choice questions. Okay? And the computer does the marking and the computer gives you the result. It will be in a very, very similar fashion to what you see at the certificate level. Now, I am going to switch on an exam for you to look at. I'll change microphone. Oh. Put that down there. Told you, I'd have been great in one direction. I could switch microphones at a moment's notice. Now, this is something which you can do yourselves when you want to. When you've got a reasonable internet connection. I've got the Wi-Fi from the hotel here. Go into CIMA's, cimaglobal.com. Find students, find 2015 syllabus, find 2015 practice exams within that. And you will be faced with this page that down the right hand side has got a list of loads of practice exams. All 9 for the subjects plus all 3 for the case studies. And in there, there's a tutorial which just seems to refuse to download, which is what the screens will look like. This tutorial doesn't have any management accounting topics in there. It's just illustrating the styles of questions and how you use the features in the exam. You can look at what that's like if you dig up a PDF, but if you can get that interactive